Good morning, everybody, and welcome to our Sunday morning Sunday school devotion here at St. John United Church of Christ. I'm Pastor Jana Myers, and I'm so grateful that you are with us this morning to think about our spirits, to think about our faith, and to dig deeper into how we might grow and make both more abundant. This morning, we have a Sunday school lesson that comes to us from the United Church of Christ Still Speaking Writers Group, and you can use the link below to read along. You can copy and paste it into your browser so you can read along with me as I talk, or you can always save it and read it later in the week when you want a refresher. But that link will take you right over to today's lesson, which is entitled Out of Sync, and it is written by the Reverend Rachel Hackenberg. So use that link to find it online or save it and review it when you want a refresher. Our author has us looking at Isaiah chapter 32, verses 9 and 10 and 15. It reads, "Take heed, O women of leisure. Soon you will shudder in your complacency, for the wine will run dry, and the vineyard will be strangled by thorns. Weep now for the coming disaster, until that day when the Spirit is poured out on us and the wilderness yields a harvest." Our author writes, "Many of us are notoriously capable of functioning out of sync, of living contrary to the rhythms of our own bodies and spirits. We say yes when our hearts really aren't into it. We push our bodies when our spirits are tired. We juggle impossible schedules. We drink coffee in the evening to resist sleep, and coffee in the morning to jumpstart our wakefulness. We sit for hours at work and at home, though our bodies long to move and breathe and stretch. We use lamps and screens to light our night long after the sun has set. We hesitate and calculate when our spirits long to leap with joy. Our bodies have a circadian rhythm, 24-hour cycles of hormones and neuron activity that keep our bodies' functions in sync. Living out of sync with the rhythms of our bodies can negatively impact our mental, physical, and spiritual health. We also live out of sync with God's rhythms. Although, in fairness, God's rhythms are rarely intuitive to human nature. Weep now while this life is sweet and easy, God says. Lament now before you taste life's bitterness. But when disaster comes, rejoice to know that the Spirit will be poured out like wine. When the fields are empty, dance because a harvest is ripening in the wilderness." Attuning our bodies to their molecular rhythms is important daily work for the sake of our health. Attuning our spirits to God's rhythms is essential daily work for the sake of our faith. It's hard to hear the idea that God's rhythms are so discordant with our own experiences. That when we are experiencing ease and joy, we should prepare for the hard, and that when life is hard and painful, we should anticipate the rejoicing. It doesn't always feel like that. Sometimes when it's easy, we just want to rejoice and relax into the easy. And when things are hard, we want someone to stand by us and walk with us through those painful times. So to have a lesson that challenges us to see God's lesson in the preparation requires us to think a little differently. As people, we are always called to be in the present, to focus on what we have here and now. And even the Bible will tell us, leave tomorrow's worries for tomorrow. But here's one of those moments where the Bible itself is a contradictory book. For Isaiah is teaching us to look further, with eyes more attuned to God's vision, something that encompasses God's future coming, as well as our present reality, all informed by the past that God has been with us. Isaiah calls us to look wider, that our spirits might understand that life, just as our days, have a cyclical rhythm, that there will be periods of rejoicing, and that although we should enjoy them, we should also be mindful that as we savor it, we are not promised it. And that as we experience seasons of hardship, to remember that God has been with us before, is with us now, and will be with us again. Even though it's hard, the season that comes on the heels of hard is one of rejoicing. And that cycle, whether 24 hours or 24 years, is one of rejoicing and reaping, hardship and weeping. I don't know any of us who don't have lives that don't lead this pattern. I'm inevitably looking at my calendar, wondering, when do the easy parts come? And you know what? They're almost here. It's June, and in June is the month of rest. Pentecost is over. Easter is over. The New Year is done. Christmas is done. But wait. Christmas is almost here again, and it's time to start preparing. So as much as June and July are the seasons of church rest, of ordinary times where we work on our regular work, of bending our hearts and spirits towards the practice of following God, it's also the time that we anticipate the work and the busyness of the holy seasons that are just around the bend, 6 months down the road. It's that tension of living in the moment and anticipating the future that is good for our spirits, because God calls us into a discordant relationship, one of rest and work, one of presence and anticipation. So however you find yourself this morning, a season of hardship, of grief, of deep pain, know that there have been times of joy before, and God walks with you into times of joy again. That the present is here and now, but it is not the only or all-consuming reality. God's vision is bigger, longer, and fuller, and there are times of abundance yet for you to have. And if you come this morning rejoicing, for all is sunny and bright, remember that there is times when that rejoicing comes to an end and work commences. Hard work, life's work. So savor the moment, but put up and make plans for how you will grow your spirit, serve your neighbor, make connections, so that you might endure together with your community and your God the hard that is never that far off. You might be saying, Jana, this is a miserable lesson. You're telling me that when everything is good, I should prepare for the worst. And when it's bad, I just have to sit through it and wait for the good to come again. It might be so, but it isn't miserable. It's our lives. And when we realize that God is in the midst of all of that, calling us to look just a little further down the road, outside of our own tiny bubble, and into the vision of divine sight, to see what comes on the other side. That there is rest and work together. Because in all things we are called to build God's kingdom. We will find rejuvenation just as we are. Let's say our prayer together this morning. Be gracious to us, O God, in our dissidence and our discombobulation. Help us to focus on your rhythms, long and short, in all life, and your rhythms within our own flesh and body. Amen. However you have found yourself this morning, I hope you will find your way to worship this morning, so that at 10 o'clock you will be with us to sing and praise the God who is with us in the easy and the hard. So I will see you right back here at 10.